Weird science
is the revolution.
Vengeance of the Moon Knight, number 3. It is a issue called Soldier. It is written by Jed MacKay, art by Alessandro Cappuccio, colors by Rachel Rosenberg, letters by VC's Corey Petit. So we start out, and even then, when you start out, I mean, the covers and the awesome, right?
Yeah.
And then you see the next deal is, oh my God, look at that new moon. Like, whether or not he's good or bad, he looks bad, but, and you're like, oh my God, look at him. And then you go to slam on the brakes because now you're at and now we're doing therapy and we're getting that play of, well, what do you think about the new moon? What do you think is going on? And it just is not a good device in my mind. It ends up really slamming the brakes on things. I'd rather have them out and about trying to find things than it being explained through a therapy session that's not even quite a therapy session. And it just is the idea where Soldier's upset and says, you know, it should have been me who got the Midnight Mission. It should have been me who could have been the new Moon Knight. The thing is, you're a dud. I hate to say it, I don't think that he's that interesting. So if he was, I don't think people would have liked that. People were upset. They thought it was Reese, but I don't think Soldier is that material either. Do you? I mean, would you be excited if they ended up announcing Soldier is Moon Knight?
Yeah.
It just seems like it's like, whatever. I mean, the whole play of this, I don't think anybody wants anybody but Mark or one of his personalities, but he's like, it should have been me. And then we just go to the then again, where he's hanging out with 8-Ball. We like 8-Ball, but he's hanging out with 8-Ball and he's going to do business with this guy. But you could take it from there because, again, this isn't even that interesting, like a caper or a thing about, you know, hey, we're going to do this deal. And then this guy ends up getting upset because he's been beat up by this new Moon Knight. But who hasn't, it seems, by now? Right? I mean, everybody is. And 8-Ball's going to have some problems. You know, he already has and all this. So you go for that because this guy just comes out of nowhere. He's like, he beat up me face. I'm like, all right. Like, he branded you. But again, you go with the scene. There's not much to it, but and it's all you.
Yeah, so after we see Soldier talking to this mysterious guy, we don't even see who it is. We just know he's meeting with somebody, and, you know, 8-Ball was their contact or whatever. And so they just make a deal where it's like, oh, hey, we'll help you if you help us. We'll be in touch, etc. We don't get anything out of this, really. And then as they're walking out, this guy runs up and he's like, hey, your guy Moon Knight, he beat the crap out of me. And they're like, that wasn't Moon Knight. That's an imposter. And they're like, it sure looked like Moon Knight. He carved a moon into my head. And Soldier just punches him. He's like, that's not Moon Knight.
Yeah. And then you even have like 8-Ball, calm down. I'm like, no, this guy was in his face. But in this, where you have Soldier, he ends up where this is the whole issue of, hey, Moon Knight was here. No, that's not Moon Knight. Hey, Moon Knight did that. It's not Moon Knight. And the idea of colors of a gang, we end up having our deal going. And it's just kind of, it seems like not a filler issue, but kind of a nothing issue. I mean, we're no closer, except at the end, you get a cliffhanger. Lady Yulan, hey, tell us where Moon Knight is. But besides that, there's not much going on. And I think that the problem is, and you even said, we only have a couple issues left. And it just feels like already you're pretty much telling people we'll find out at the very end. And I just wonder, and I think people would even comment on this, the idea that Jed MacKay has a lot going on right now. He's doing the Avengers. Me and you don't really love it, right? He's doing Doctor Strange. It's in the middle of doing cool down weird issues where right now they're in a video game. And I'm not really liking it. And then he's going to have Blood Hunt coming up, and he's kind of putting that together with almost 60 issues of an event there. And he's also one of the new X-Men writers. So there might be too much going on here. And I know that Moon Knight is his thing, and that's why I just wonder that going into this Vengeance of the Moon Knight, the first issue seemed cool to say, oh my God, who is this new Moon Knight? That's pretty cool. But it's getting back to what I got bored with at the end of the run of Moon Knight that, you know, ended to get to this, where there's just not much going on. It's just them going. I still end up through the whole thing, and I know that the whole play of what they're trying to figure out, but I'm just like, St. Hunter's Moon might be Moon Knight. Like, at least he's the first to catch you. You have that, but even then, like, you have the vampire stuff being pulled out, and I think we're going to end up probably tying into stuff maybe with Blood Hunt through this. I just don't know, because you then go back again where, okay, we're back to him talking to Dr. Sturman. as they go. And he keeps saying, like, oh, everybody's mad, but it's the fake Moon Knight. It's not the real Moon Knight. He's getting angry. He's like, he's getting supervillain stirred up. This new fake Moon Knight is really screwing it for us. But he's going to bring down the Midnight Mission. And that's our thing. That's our thing. And we want to respect that. And we want to keep that going in honor of Mark. And they're not even playing the idea. Like, at this point, it seems like they pushed aside that it might actually be Mark, but we'll have to see. And then we just go again to a then and have another little fight caper type deal, right?
Yeah.
And you could go with that again. You could go with this because it's just these guys, that are kind of like D-list guys going, and they're going to get in a fight with the Midnight Mission because they're mad at Moon Knight. I mean, everybody's mad at Moon Knight. Everybody's getting beat up, and this is what he said. We have a target on our back because of the stupid Moon Knight, so they're waiting for this as well, right?
Yeah, so like you said, it's a bunch of just D-list baddies that nobody knows the names of, and they're all in a van. They're outside the Midnight Mission, and they're like, okay, this Moon Knight, he's going around. He's not respecting any of the old ways. Like months ago, he would have just left us alone as long as we didn't bother the travelers at night. Now he don't care. He's just coming after us. So if we band together and take them out before he takes us out, then we probably will be able to defeat him. So they immediately just start attacking the Midnight Mission. And yeah, so Reese and Tigra and Soldier just start whooping their butt. Like, that's how low level these guys are. Like, they
Scorcher, you got there. You got Squid. I mean, these are not, like you said, when they're really ripping them apart, it's kind of sad. Like, they really thought if this Moon Knight was there, they'd be dead. I mean, they're dead. I mean, at the least of all, we'd see them like boom, boom, boom. It would go to black, and then they'd all be branded with the crescent because they'd be in big trouble. And so even Hunter's Moon, like, and that's the other thing. Hunter's Moon and the people, Moon Knight. And he's like, no, Hunter's Moon. It's just a weird play. I do like the idea that they did end up talking, and you did have Soldier kind of mention the idea that Mark as Moon Knight, he did have a code. He did end up basically, you got to keep your nose clean around our area here. If we have problems, if you cause problems for the Midnight Mission, we'll do that. But he didn't go out of his way just to be sadistic. And that's what this new Hunter. But in this, I know that it's one of your biggest problems because you told me, and I agree. The idea as we're going through this, boy, we're being told a lot of what this Moon Knight's doing, and we're not seeing much of him at all. And I wish we were seeing more of him. We saw that
we
first
see him for
page.
like maybe 2 panels this entire issue.
Yeah, and so basically it's just people continuously, the wave of Moon Knight did this, Moon Knight did this, Moon Knight did this, and them just saying, he's not really Moon Knight, he's not really Moon Knight, but they're getting more and more angry about it. But I'm telling you, these guys, the biggest thing they should do as they're laying on the ground after they got the crap kicked out of them, by that, say, I'm glad Moon Knight wasn't here. I thought we were a little better. Like, I think that one of them's at least shocked that they were that bad in this fight. And then we go back to Sturman and Soldier again. It's talking about that whole idea. You don't get it, but we're like a gang. And in that, you have Soldier says to Sturman, I should have been the Moon Knight. I should have been in control of the Midnight Mission because I'm just like Moon Knight. I'm like Mark. And that's where she says, well, maybe that's the problem. He wanted somebody who wasn't like him. That's Reese to run. But he also did want you still around because you are like him. See, the combo, you get the good and the bad, the facts of life deal. Okay. Like, again, I think that these are things in these little, these therapy sessions, they're almost saying things in there that we would think as fans saying like, oh, why would he give it to, okay, I get it because Reese would do. But you don't have to spell it out with the characters in these pretty much deals stopping the action. But that's what, and then he's just going back to, we're like gangs. We have a clubhouse. We have colors. We look after our own. We don't care about laws. I mean, if he keeps going down, we have a couple rap albums we put out. I thought he was just going to keep going on and on and on. But he's like, oh, yeah. And that's where you end up, she says, like, would you think Mark would like to hear that you're like a gang? And he's like, well, I think that he'd be happy, that we're banding together to do this. And plus, he's CIA. This is a weird line because I think he knows they had, this has been discussed in the series that they had some other crews and stuff. But he says he was CIA. You think this is the first crew they put together? it's not, and we're going to get going, and we're going to stop this trouble. And we have things working out, and then boom, we see the other one panel of Moon Knight kind of just and they're the best panels of like you get excited.
They look amazing.
Like,
I will say that they look amazing.
Yeah, so, and then even then it's like, yeah, the guy, this fake Moon Knight wearing the boss's colors, because he wants to really play that gang deal. It's like, oh my God, this blood was wearing the blue from the Crips. But he ends up, this guy, he's going and he's trying to mess us up. And yeah, that's the worst part of it, is that the two best panels are the two with this Moon Knight, and we don't really get much with him. Because I think that once you get down to it and have a lot, we'll be able to say like, oh, okay, that's him or it's not. But he should kind of go with it. But he just says we're working out a deal here. We're thinking of what he would do next, how this is going to work. So we end, and you could finish it off. They go to Chinatown, and this is a deal where Moon Knight did help out Lady Yulan and Tudor, and that sort of thing was trying to take over. I thought Tudor was one of the worst villains ever. I like Lady Yulan, it's fine, but they go to like, again, it's like down the line, like you owe us because you owed him, that you owed him, that you owed us, but you go because it's okay.
Yeah, so they just go to her, and it's like, we need you to tell us where this fake Moon Knight sleeps so we can avenge our boss's memory, and that's basically just the end of the issue.
That's it.
We're cashing in this favor that you owed our boss, but now he's dead, so now we're going to make you owe us.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it doesn't work that way, but in my mind it wouldn't. But she actually, you have Jed McKay make it work a little for me because she's amused by it. She's like, oh, you guys are pretty funny. Hey, this is kind of funny. And then the funny thing, though, too, is she has to, like, spell out, oh, two baby vampires, a Fisted Conchu, and that one with stripes. I'm like, okay, you kind of know some of their names, but still, it's a nice little play. And she's playing up the idea of how old she is. I'm 700 years old, and this is a joke. But yeah, okay, whatever. And then you end with not even, like, a yes or a no. Like, that's the weirdest part of a cliffhanger is this, oh my God, can you believe it, Zach? They asked her where this new Moon Knight is. Like, it's not even that much of a cliffhanger. Like, show something with the new Moon Knight. Show something where there's something exciting going on to make me think that something else is going to happen besides that at the last page of this mini that we'll end up finding out. And then where do we go from there anyway? Like, it's a really weirdly paced book that feels like it has one thing to do, and it needs to do it in this many issues, so it's going to take its time. And I didn't think the pacing was really strong in the regular series. I think that's one of the problems of it as well. And again, I don't want people to get mad at me that I'm bad-mouthing the Moon Knight book. I liked it for a while, and like I said while I'll say with this, I don't think it's bad. It's just boring. Like, there's no real reason. In my mind right now, I think a lot of people are like, I'll hear who is Moon Knight by the end, and hopefully it's still Mark, hopefully it's one of the other persons, something like that, a new person out. I don't know how they're going to play it, but I don't even know what goes on from there. Do we just start a new Moon Knight book at a number 1? And that would be weird too, like having these weird different volumes. I just don't get the overall concept of it. But what would you give this?
Oh, this is tough. I think I'm gonna go 5.5. It's boring, but I mean, like, it's not bad necessarily. And on top of that, I do like these characters. I'm not exactly the biggest Soldier fan.
Soldier's my least favorite.
Yeah, exactly.
Soldier to me is a good guy to have on your team.
Yes.
He's just not that interesting.
Yeah, he's like a good enforcer character. You know, he's very much like the bodyguard.
If we're watching a football game and afterwards they could either, interview the quarterback or the right tackle, I'd rather have them interview the quarterback. The right tackle is very needed. But the therapy stuff, I think that's a boring way to present info, especially when you have a new Moon Knight running around. I like the art. There's not a part of this that I say, oh, this is horrible. It's just, oh, come on, let's go.
It's very much stalled out right now.
Yeah, I think I'll go 6.
Weird Science
is the revolution.